Welcome to Mr. Patrick's Corner. Today we're going to talk about my hobby, which is air rifles. I got into this in 2017 because it's a wonderful story. I'll tell you about it. Basically, when I was a kid, my dad was into shooting, and he was a real New Yorker. He loved everything from New York. So my first 22 was an Ithaca 22 semi-automatic, and I hated that rifle because my dad loved to buy cheap ammo. And believe it or not, we used to get 22 caliber ammo in a pail. They sold it by the pound. So my other friends had Winchester Model 92s, the gun that was designed by Mr. Browning. And they were fantastic. They never jammed. They ran the junky ammo, and they could do some nice shooting with it. My Ithaca, I could fire maybe one clip, and then it would jam. Then I'd spend my time taking the round out, taking the clip off, unjamming the rifle, putting the clip back on, and then I'd fire another clip, and then it would jam again on me. And so I went looking for a hobby because I stopped driving. And I decided that I wanted to do something. I was thinking about going into making my own firearms. But I live in California, and that's kind of they don't really like you to do that. They call them ghost guns. It's amazing what they come up with in this state. But so I went in to buy a 22. I wanted a Winchester Model 92. And the guys were showing me these rifles that were made by Henry here in the United States. $890. And then the clerk showed me how much ammo I could get. Like a little block of 22s was like $30, $35. This is in the first Obama years where they cut back on our ammo, and we had to go through all sorts of stuff. I looked into black powder, but I'm kind of scared of black powder, and I didn't know where I could get it. The gun shops I found, it was a complicated deal. And then I found out that if you could buy a gun that was made before 1899, it's considered a relic and there's no problem, but it's still a problem with the ammo. So I decided to go look at air rifles. When I was a kid, I had a Luther Walther, breech loader, Springer. And I learned how to do the artillery hold and all that, and I just said, that's not really me. So I started looking and asking questions and just being a nudge. So at that time, I didn't have the selection that you guys now have. You got the Air Venturi, you got the Gauntlet, you got half a dozen. Hats On comes up with a good one. You've got so many choices. And then I didn't want a CO2. I don't like them. I just turned my face away from CO2. I thought about what I really wanted, and I kept looking at it, and then my choices went down to an AirForce. Another problem I have living out in this wonderful country, Trona and Ridgecrest, they don't have a dive shop, so there's no way to get a skin diving tank, or to fill it. So that put me into another bind. So I wanted a rifle that I could hand fill with a pump. And so there was two guns I looked at. I liked the Sumatra the Samsung Sumatra in 22, lever action. That was really nice. The carbine especially. I like the power and I like the performance. But then I thought, maybe I shouldn't get something really complicated. I wanted simplicity. I just want to be able to shoot my rifle and see how good I could get, and then maybe go into hunting. I wanted something that I could enjoy hunting with. And believe it or not, California lets you hunt. They let just the year after I got into air gunning, they changed the law. They said you couldn't hunt pig with a air rifle. You could only use a regular a regular rifle to do it. And so I basically satisfied myself on the AirForce in 25 caliber. I like the 25. It's got good hitting potential. You can take coyotes with it. Oh, by the way, Nevada has this wonderful deal where you don't even need a hunting license to take jackrabbits and coyotes. You just need the permission of the local landowner. I have a friend up there who has a sort of over in Gold Strike where they have basically a ghost town that they're revamping. And the guy said I could hunt coyotes and jackrabbits there. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good. So I stated that I wanted a 25. I got it from Pyramid Air. This was my first rifle. I bought it and I couldn't get a good cheek weld on it. That's where you put your face right up here so you can look through the scope. It was a little too short. And that's when I had my first issues with AirForce. I bought their rifle, had it shipped to me, and the wrench that they sent me to tighten the tank into the rifle, it broke. Rachel was very nice, or I think it was Rachel. They sent me out a new wrench free of charge. A week later, I got it. Then I tightened up the tank, and I was learning about how to shoot it. And next thing I know, after about 150 rounds, my pistol grip falls off. Okay, so I take it over to the local gun shop because I don't want to send it all the way to Texas to get the pistol grip. If the gunsmith can fix it, saves me some time and effort. Tom over there at Guns for Us did a nice job. He got it on there, and it was working fine. So then I started using it, and I was for about 5-6 months. It was working fine. I was hand pumping. My wife felt sorry for me, so she finally got me a compressor. One of those air-cooled Chinese compressors. Works very well. Goes up to 3,000 psi. But my tank leaked. Okay, no problem. I'll send it back. And I asked questions, and the guy said, well, maybe you just need a new fill valve. So I got a new fill valve for him, and I bought an extra one, and I put it in, and that took care of the problem. And I'm doing all the wonderful work on this wonderful air rifle, and it starts leaking again. It doesn't hold air. I let it sit for a week, and I come back, and it's empty. Okay, send it over to AirForce. Comes back 2.5 months later, and it's repaired. I use it a couple of times, send it, and it starts leaking again. In the meantime, so I've got this rifle down because I wanted to get more power out of it. I sent it to Talon Tunes in Florida. Tony over there, he put an 18-inch barrel in there. He took the 12-inch barrel out, put an 18, a Donnie FL moderator on the front, and a heavier spring and a heavier weight. So now instead of getting 72 pounds of foot-pound energy, I'm doing about 90, 93, 94 pounds. And I'm very happy with it, except it leaks again. So I take the tank off, and in the meantime, I'd ordered, because I'm building another, I've got the parts now for another rifle. I ordered a frame from AirForce, and this is it right here. It's a little beauty, and it has a Talon Tune tank on it. This is the one I built out of parts from the first one, the parts that I had left over. I had a 12-inch barrel, so I ordered a frame from AirForce, got the frame, took the gun apart, put the new barrel in, and I got a Talon Tune tank. Tony at Talon Tune, he's out of Jackson City, Florida, and he builds a fantastic tank. I had some medical issues, and I basically left this tank in my workshop, which is basically a steel shed. It went through 2 months of the hottest summer, 2 months of the coldest parts of the winter at night, where it dropped down to 20 above. And when I went to assemble the tank, he hadn't said anything about sending it to me with a 3000. It was filled completely. Didn't lose a pound of air. This tank is the best tank after my experiences with wonderful AirForce, I keep sending them back to tanks. It's sent 3 times now. I just got this one back, did the assembly on it, and it doesn't work. It's only pumped up to 1500 with my compressor. I put this one to check and see if there's anything wrong with my compressor. It took 5 minutes and was up to 3000 with no problems. By the way, this rifle fires slugs very nicely. That's the 38 grain, and that's the 44 grain. I also like these Vortex from Hatsan. They're light, they're pellet, and they do a very nice job, especially for the best ranges for those is anything under 50 yards. They're really good if you're going to do pigeons or something like that. You can hold a nice 1-inch group. I also use a lot of Benjamins. They're made by Crosman, and they're an excellent semi-heavy pellet. They're 28 grains. Well, and they're very nice. They're inexpensive. I was buying them for under 20 bucks for a can of 200. So that was a good deal. I also am partial to JSBs. This is FX. This is their 34 grain. They also make a 25 grain. It's and FX and JSB are the same. FX has them made in Czechoslovakia by JSB. And he used to be a coach on the firing team of the Czechoslovakian. They usually ship them like this. So you can see that they're really nice. They have a little coating so they don't rub against each other or bounce. And I've come up with a way to carry them, but when I'm in the field hunting, it's very simple. You just flip it over, put one in. I put a little plastic bubble wrap bag in there with a couple pellets and then I just tighten it up a little bit, and that's it. So they stay in this area, so that you just pick them up and you want to go hunt. There's no clanging or banging, and they're very nice. This rifle is very light, except the scope makes it really heavy. When I go doing field work, this is for long range. I like to shoot out to 150 yards. My other rifle is even better suited to that because it's got the 18-inch barrel. I get really good velocity out of it. It's shooting at 1,100 feet per second. And the only trouble is the tank leaks. So that's my wonderful story about AirForce. I like AirForce, except they don't seem to build stuff well. They have a very bad quality. The rifles are accurate, and for me, I don't know if all their tanks are bad, but I've never had any luck with this little one, the 213cc. I think it's, second time I sent it back, I asked them, can I just get a new tank? And said, no, we got to fix it. Well, they fixed it. It worked for about three to 4 months, and then it crapped out again. This one I just got back 2 days ago, put it together, and now it seems it doesn't want to fill past 1,500. This one, on the other hand, which is a bigger tank, it took 10 minutes to fill it from 1,500 psi to 3,000. I never let my air rifles go below 1,000 psi because I don't want anything getting into the tank. And then I have a Gauntlet. I'll talk about that gun later, but it's a very nice rifle. It's super accurate, but I don't like the fact that it's really long. I don't like it for field work. If I'm in a blind, that would make a lot of sense to me because I have something I can balance on. This one, if you put a lighter scope, I got a Simpson scope or red dot I can put on this one, and it's super light, super accurate, and a lot of fun to shoot. Well, that's about it for today. This is my story on how I got into air rifles. I also own a big bore. I'll talk about that one later on. And by the way, I didn't buy an AirForce. I have basically given up on the AirForce brand. I don't think their build quality is up. Have a nice day, and thank you for looking in. If you like it, subscribe and click.